Hey guys, for history today I'm going to read from the Church in History, which I haven't read from yet, so I thought I'd read from this one today about Ulrich Zwingli. So if you watch this, make sure you comment on Schoology something interesting that you learned, okay? On January 1st, 1484, there was born in Wildhaus, in the German-speaking part of Switzerland, a boy who was to become known to history as Ulrich Zwingli. Zwingli's experience differed greatly from that of Luther. He never lived as a monk in a convent. He did not have Luther's deep consciousness of sin, and he knew nothing of Luther's fearful spiritual struggle to gain salvation. Luther emerged out of the darkness of medievalism, and had been educated in scholastic theology. He studied the great writings of the Church Fathers and other works written under the influence of the medieval church. Zwingli received his education under the influence of the Renaissance, that is, under the influence of the new interest in the ancient writings of the Greeks and Romans, which had recently been brought to the Western world. Zwingli studied in Basel, Bern, and Vienna. In 1506, he received the degree of Master of Arts. Thereupon, he entered the service of the church. In 1519, he became pastor of the church in Zurich, the most important city in that part of Switzerland. He was also chaplain in the army of the city of Zurich. At first, Zwingli stood strongly under the influence of Erasmus, with whom he became personally acquainted. He made a thorough study of the New Testament and of the Church Fathers. Originally, he had no intention of attacking the Roman Church. Like Erasmus, he hoped to bring about improvements gradually through education. He first arrived at certain reformatory ideas independent of Luther. Later, he came under Luther's influence and moved further and further away from the position of Erasmus. In 1518, Zwingli attacked indulgences. Remember, we talked about indulgences last week. That's when people thought they could pay their way or their loved ones' ways out of purgatory. The stand Luther took in the Leipzig debate and his burning of the papal bull inspired Zwingli to make a systematic attack on the Roman Church. Images were removed from the church buildings in Zurich. The Mass was abolished. Altars, relics, and processions were discarded. The government of the church and the care of the poor were placed in the hands of the city council. The school system was reformed. From Zurich, the Reformation of the church spread to several of the Swiss cantons, but many cantons remained Catholic. Zwingli differed from Luther in his idea of the Lord's Supper. Luther took the words, "This is my body," literally. He taught that the body of Christ, having become everywhere present at his ascension, is actually present in the bread and wine. Zwingli taught that the body of Christ is now only in heaven, and that the words, "This is my body," mean, "This signifies my body." According to Zwingli, the bread and the wine are only symbols of the body and blood of Christ, and the supper is only a memorial ceremony. In October of 1529, Luther and Zwingli held a conference in Marburg, but the two leaders of the Reformation could not come to an agreement. For a time, Zwingli had considerable influence in Switzerland and southern Germany, but after his death in battle in 1531, the Protestants in that region inclined more and more toward Calvin, and we'll learn about John Calvin in the coming weeks. So, like I said, leave any comments on Schoology about anything interesting you learned today. Thanks.